Hello and thank you for downloading this episode of Discussing Documentaries. Today we are talking about the Oscar-winning My Octopus Teacher from the year 2020. It's on Netflix. It was directed by Pippa Elric and James Reed. And here's the blurb. I'm already checking out. I can feel it. I think this will be like episodes.
Keep it up. This is all we've got planned is what they fucking won. We went, do you know what? That won the Oscar. That'll probably be good to do. That'll be a good one to talk about.
Do you know how many people have recommended this to me? I think about 7 or 8.
Wow.
I've gone, oh, you've got to watch this. This is the problem with crowds.
I told me mother we were doing this one, and she went, "Oh, Richard, it's a lovely documentary." And I was like, fuck. I did not need to hear that.
Damn you, Mrs. Wharton. Look, this is how distracted I am. I haven't even introduced me and you. And I'm not going to. This documentary doesn't it's not worthy of our names, Rick. That's what it's not.
I got to be honest. We've done a few that's worse.
Do you reckon?
Oh, God, yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. You've made me sit through some stuff, and I always come away thinking I'm a better person.
Oh, I put an asterisk. not documentaries that I've chosen.
No, I've always learned something, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's new. No, this one floored me.
This one's in a bubble.
What was the point?
This is, I think, a COVID documentary. If you think about it, there's not a single.
That is going to get used for the next 10 years. Whenever anything's shit, it was COVID, wasn't it? Yeah. During the war. That's why I slept with all their women during the war.
Listen, there is not a conversation in this documentary. Since there's no one talking to him, I missed it when he said his first name, so I just didn't know the guy's name the whole way through it.
His name is Craig Foster.
Craig Foster. There we go.
And his son is Tom. That's it. Oh, and the octopus is called She.
Oh, there you
go.
To that. I wasn't a fan of.
Let's do the blurb. Hang on. Let's do because listen. Let's be professional about this, right? We can do this.
We went pro. We're trying to impress Audible.
Pro. We've got a Patreon for Christ's sake. Right. The blurb. My Octopus Teacher is a 2020 Netflix original documentary film which documents a year spent by filmmaker Craig Foster, that's why I know his name, forging a relationship with a wild, common octopus in a South African kelp forest. And at the 93rd Academy Awards. I've got like Bill Burr reading issues, haven't I? At the 93rd Academy Awards, it won the award.
Those are the traits you're looking for.
It won the award for the best documentary feature. And this is basically Grizzly Man in the ocean.
Could we? What do you have the stats of what else was up for that award?
No, but that's great. Keep going and put in some filler, and I'll get that because
we'll need that. We'll need that around the 16-minute mark of this chat. I shouldn't have wasted that hilarious story of the wardrobe falling on my head before we hit record. I knew I fucked up. Here's what he's got going for him, right? So you get a little bit of a backstory of him. He's a documentarian, and he's working with trackers in, I want to say, Africa.
Yeah, with some of the oldest tracking tribes. It's the Central Kalahari.
And he says how he'd always, envied those guys, and then he'd had a lot of stress, a lot of it seemed like anxiety or mental health issues building up.
Yeah, he didn't say why though.
No, I assume that's on the cutting room floor, and I thought, nah, I'll just show him the octopus. Me bitching about the office isn't really going to get this where it was. And he wasn't, like I say, dislikable. And I think the thing they have going for this, right, it is a fascinating creature to watch.
What?
Not for the whole narrative, but the octopus itself, the footage he has of it, is what this documentary hangs on.
At
His
best,
story
at
in
best,
between.
it's a Pixar short film. At best.
Yeah, but the thing is when you get real life that looks like a Pixar movie. I'm not saying it's Oscar worthy. I'm not saying I would ever watch it again. But for me, it seemed like a calming screensaver until he spoke.
Okay. Oh, no, well, I was the complete opposite, right? Because I was like, okay, well, a lot of people have bigged this up. They said it's a great palate cleanser. I said that we'd just done Alan v. Theroux on the Patreon, and they went, oh, you want My Octopus Teacher, that'll be good. And he starts, he's South African, right? And he's got a South African accent, which that's like liquid in my ears, basically. But he sounds like, you don't know this guy, but he sounds like my dentist, Paul, who is a South African, right? And straight away I'm like, I'm in. This is going to be brilliant. That was as good as it got. Because my expectations were so high because of what everybody said. And because I'm so susceptible. So, it's going to be great. It was awful. Here's what it came up against in the Oscars. David Attenborough, A Life on Our Planet. Collective, The Social Dilemma, and The Dissident. All
right, The Dissident should have had that, but
easily, right? Yeah.
Yeah. When you talk about a whitewashing of an award, that is fucking ridiculous.
How could Mum Wharton and the Oscar team be so wrong?
Well, I mean, I never watched The Dissident, so I can't give her that much. Yeah,
she's not a Newcastle fan.
They're not big into football. Yeah, my folks, complete teetotal, didn't like football. Yeah, you pick a Geordie stereotype, and the closest you get is stotty cakes, and if it didn't happen between Gateshead and fucking concert, they don't want to hear about
it. I've made some notes here, but they're so weird. For instance, he talks about the ocean and the moon. And now I didn't know this. The moon controls the ocean.
I'd heard that because of Bruce Almighty.
Where he lassos the moon and brings it closer for the romantic moment with Jennifer Aniston. It causes
a tsunami on the other side of the world, yeah.
Well, I was in a bar in Thailand on a full moon party, and we were all dancing, and it was the brightest moon in something like 100 odd years, and we were all off our tits, and basically the moon was just a lot closer that day. The tide came in, and it took away, basically, it was about 2 or 3 foot into the bar. So we were all on stools, just dancing on stools. They lifted all the stuff up so they could carry on playing the music. It was like about 20,000 people just having a great time. Tide or no tide, we were dancing, man. It was awesome.
No wonder regular life just gives you PTSD, Matt. Like you literally flew too close to the sun during a fun period in your life, and there's no going back.
As you said to me the other day, right? Party's over. Yeah.
So that even rings true because it shows you where he grew up, and he had this like house on the sea that, the water just goes straight into on the bungalows.
That's why I thought about it. That's right. Yeah.
But when he's doing his kind of sad talk of why he got into this, he goes, and he has a very deliberate, soft voice, and he says, I had to make a change. And I thought if he goes, and I saw this documentary about minimalism.
What he said, actually, I said I didn't know why he got sick, but he said he overworked himself and he got a bit tired, and he said he didn't want to see an edit suite again. I was like, I'm hearing you, brother. I'm here. Yeah. High five, baby. High five.
I have crossed out a lot of jokes for this one, Matt.
The weird thing is,
I'm looking forward to the Opie and Anthony years where we really hate each other, but we're making money.
That happened with a lot of couples. Steptoe and Son, they went through that. I think Morecambe and Wise had a tough period. And basically, so he needed a complete change, so he returned to the ocean of his youth. And he said that the cold water upgrades his brain. The whole body comes alive. And he says eventually, after a year, you crave the cold. Really? Is that a thing? Is this why you had to move back up north?
Do you know, yeah, just as you were saying, like, no, the house prices in a pandemic, all right? I honestly thought this would last a lot longer so I wouldn't have to travel back down south for a gig. So open it again on the 28th. Can't wait.
It's happening very soon.
We're opening on a thesis of it'll probably be fine.
Be all right.
The COVID numbers are treated like my fucking bank balance. It's like, well, we're back in the plus. We might as well start spending again. That won't become a problem.
That Ko-fi and Patreon money's gone right to our ends. But it's quite a nice looking documentary, isn't it? I'm struggling on this one.
It is. It's a very soothing. The one drawback, I will say this, right? I think this has to be a rule for every aquatic documentarian out there. No one, and I mean no one, looks cool in a snorkel. This guy is super intelligent, right? He knows his shit about animals, but just when you have that that toilet roll tube sticking out your mouth and it going, that's just as he's floating, he just looks like fucking what's it? It's not Thunderbirds. Is it Stingray? What was
right,
the other?
Yeah. It was.
Looks like something from fucking Stingray, just floating motionlessly through it. And he's got such a soft, deliberate voice. You know,
so slow and calming.
I've just tried to record the announcement that the Patreon comes out, and it took 9 attempts. I almost threw my laptop out the window. So I can't imagine how many times he had to do this until he wasn't like, I fucking hate this. I don't like this. So by the time he's came to do his talking heads, and he is the narrator throughout this, you could take that voice, that tone, that idiolect, and if when it cuts back to him, he's behind bars talking to an FBI profiler, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
You have to remember the way it moves. The desire of doing this. And they're just writing it down. Try not to pay attention to Meg's jacking off in the other cell.
Because he sees this weird shelf moving thing, and it turns out it's an octopus. And then he says, I then had this crazy idea. What if I went to see the octopus every day? Well, you'd get fired, you'd neglect your family, you'd upset the octopus. No one wants to be hassled, right? # free Britney.
Me and you, not on this level of artisticness, but can almost identify with, right, I don't do documentaries anymore. What's the next fad that's coming? I'm going to sit at this bus stop. What is it? What's happening? What am I into? Surprise me, world. Surprise me. And it's like, I saw a snail. What if I'm just mates with this snail for like a year? I'll go to the park. It didn't like bread. I found that out on day 1. Snails do not like bread.
There was, they didn't mention it in this documentary, which surprised me. There was a famous octopus, wasn't there? Do you remember the World Cup octopus?
Yeah, that guessed the winners.
Yes. Why didn't that get a mention? I mean, because that guessed every single winner. Until, weirdly enough, being locked up in a tank, it killed itself, I think, or it died.
I think it was having to watch Gareth Southgate football.
Yeah.
If the octopus nods once, it's going to score from a corner. If it doesn't, we're going to concede from a corner. All right.
We just imprisoned an octopus and basically went, okay, yeah, it did this.
This is slightly a jar, but on this episode, I know it's not a problem because we're talking about betting on things. The amount of people I know that have got into the stock market during lockdown is fascinating.
Really?
Yeah, and they can't see a correlation between there was no sport to bet on and now they're into stock markets.
It's a disease, people. You can just replace one with the other.
Draw a fucking graph, and instead of being like City's got to score 4 against Palace, they're all like, you just wait. The minute they announce Cineworld's opening up, that's going to go from 20p to £1, and then I'm going to put that money onto this money. They're all doing it. People that I would never expect to do it are all fucking talking the cryptocurrencies. Like, that's got to work out all right.
Oh, tell them they need to buy a Rento Kill.
Isn't that weed killer?
No, it's they go around and kill mice in offices. They're like professional mice exterminators.
Oh, so if the
and
office
bugs.
has been away.
Yeah, and the offices around the planet have been empty for a year, right? So the mice apparently have bred like you wouldn't believe.
Wow.
Yeah, and Rent-A-Kill apparently they're predicted to be on the up.
Well, look at that. There's us insider trading, guys. Matt, we know what Matt's been fucking banking on. Gonna put that sweet coffee bean money on the Rent-A-Kill pet. Let's get Matty a holiday.
When I was a kid, I'd earned some money on my Saturday job, and I'd given it to my dad with my birthday money, and I invested it in shares. And at the time, Thatcher was in power, right? So I kept doubling and tripling my money. So I went from, what was it, British Airways, British Gas, and I think there was another one. I think I had about 700-800 quid. And my dad confiscated it all when I burnt down his kitchen. And ever since then, I've not touched the stock market. I had one go, actually, when I first tried comedy. I invested all my money in the stock market, and I lost $4,000 in a year.
Wow.
And I couldn't afford to do that, right? That's about 6 months' money. So, yeah, stock market and me, we're not designed for each other. That's how great this film was. That's how great this documentary was. We're talking about my dad.
It is a complete visual, this one.
Is it? It looks really cold.
It does look very cold. And also, he refuses to wear like the scuba gear and stuff like that. So he's only in the water for 10 minutes at a time.
But let me ask you this. How many days did it take you to watch it?
This podcast almost disbanded between starting and finishing this documentary.
I think this took me 6 days to watch.
6 days.
I did it in like 15-minute chunks. It was like, oh, okay, just enough, 15 more minutes. And I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, mate.
I checked 25 without making notes last week. And then yesterday when he said we'll do it today, I watched it last night and thought I didn't really need to rewatch the first 25 minutes. Because there's little things, because the octopus itself, there are parts of it that do look like bad Pixar's, and then there's parts of it that look like the most fantastic footage you've ever really seen of wildlife.
He's got some good camera gear. I'll give him that, right? Because, basically, I didn't know this. An octopus only has a lifespan of about a year. And I was like, oh, okay, there's some tears coming. Whereas it wasn't when it ended. I was like, woohoo! There were no tears.
If it wasn't for what my mother said and the universal rating, I was just like, I don't like the way he keeps on referring to her as she. I think it's
right.
There's something, and again, I'm reaching with this, but it almost seemed oddly sexualized to me.
That's what I thought. That's exactly what I thought.
The octopus like that. Obviously, it lays eggs at the end. It is a female, but the whole way through, you don't know that's going to happen. And he's just like, so I didn't want the wetsuit on my skin, so I just wanted to be bare between me and the octopus. Her. Yeah. It's that use of that. There's a characterization that comes with it that it reminds us of. I've told you before. I don't know if I told you on the podcast or off, but this was fucking hilarious. I was walking my dog. In the way people gender animals and like the way they put personification, human traits on the pets. So I'm walking Ari before he's full blown reactive. This probably didn't help matters in hindsight. And he was on a long lead before we had the halty and stuff. And a guy comes out of nowhere with a big Alsatian. And the guy looks rough and ready. The dog's off the lead. And Ari hasn't kicked off. So I'm like, see how it goes? He could make a friend. All right, because if I go and dive on him now, Ari's going to think something's up. He's going to kick off.
Yeah.
And this is like the pulling the hair out over Heed's stage of getting them trained. And so I'm talking to the guy, and then this Alsatian just instantly mounts Ari and starts,
doing it doggy style. That was their style.
Yes, exactly that. I was trying to think of an adult word to say that, but that sums it up perfectly.
Go and work with an adult then, if you want adult words.
So this Alsatian has mounted Ari, and the guy turns around and goes, oh, sorry about that. What's she called? And I goes, he. And he went, bullseye, get down.
Oh man.
It's like, wait, I'm not happy that I'm not complaining that it stopped. Ari didn't look too happy about it either, but just the idea that it was fine when he thought it was a female dog, but he doesn't want to have a homosexual dog. That just fucking cracked me up. I don't mind. I have no mind. My dog could be fluid, whatever floats his boat. I'm happy with as long as it's not causing a problem. But this guy, the minute I said he, was just like, I'm so sorry about that, pal, and walked off and scolded his dog as
He's got no problem with the non-consensual stuff beforehand. But the minute it's two male dogs, oh my God.
Yeah,
poor Bullseye on the way home. I don't know what came over me. Sorry, mate.
It was either Bullseye or Diesel. It was a very masculine sounding name, but it just fucking cracked me with it. Diesel, get that. I'm so sorry about that, mate. He's not like that, honestly. Your dog. It's your dog with its ears.
And so basically, what's his name? Oh, Octopus Man? Craig. So yeah, Craig decides he's going to track the octopus like the Kalahari Master Trackers. And that's when I thought, yeah, this free time's been tough on us all, right? We've all had to find something to do. Like, I'm rewatching The Crown for the 4th time.
Yeah, I was seeing my own OCDs come in. Like, there's an NBA game I'm playing where I'm trying to create just the perfect guy that can do this and that as he goes through his career mode. And I'm like, all right, I can't. If someone made a documentary about what I'm doing right now, it wouldn't exactly be fucking stellar for us to talk about.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it is a lockdown documentary.
But when he's referring to it as, because you see his wall, which again is another My Beautiful Mind with spider graphs going onto other things.
Yeah.
It's referred to as, he's got My Octopus Teacher. And it just made me think of a science teacher I had from a town called Stanley. And just the idea of talking about her in the same light, going just the way she moved.
Well, the thing is, I was thinking, because he mentions his son, and then occasionally he references his wife, and then I started thinking, is metaphor the right word here? Is it just the octopus? Is that the word metaphor for his? Is it a metaphor for his wife, and they've split up, and he's trying to get back with her, and he's just using visuals of the octopus, whereas really it's his wife that he's talking about.
He does sound like a deluded ex because he's something like, I think something drops and it scares the octopus off, so now he's tracking her. Yeah, and he is just like
needing a restraining order is what he's needing.
Yeah. He is a deluded ex when the octopus prods him, and it's like, and with that, she allowed me into her life as if to say, "Hello, Mr. Human, you're my friend now." Like,
that's not how it works. This thing's huge, and it keeps turning up every day. The octopus is, I better be friendly to this fella. Who knows what he's going to do to me?
At this point in the documentary, our last was round my mother's, so I'm watching it on my own. And I look up and she's fucking snuck round and she's staring at me through the window as I'm sat there with my arms folded watching this. And then between them coming in and getting the dogs
my FIFA playing teacher, is that her documentary? Your missus.
I was like, thank fuck I'm actually watching the documentary, because I left me mother's going, no, I need to do this. I'll get it watched tonight, not tomorrow, so I'm not late for the podcast. And like, if I was actually just sat there for controller in my hand and she put her head against the window, that's a problem. Yeah, I would have had to go back after a scolding. But I lost my vape pen between them coming in, so then I have to go around the house tracking it like he did the octopus. I'm looking at areas that I was sat. There's like a fucking open pack of biscuits on the side of the thing, and I'm like, it was here some point.
Did you possibly film that on your iPhone? Because if so, we could send it off to the Oscar people. It could be in the running for 2022. We get the right voiceover with it. It's going to be great.
Basically, Attenborough said something they didn't like at last year's. Then it gets to the point where it goes, and your first instinct is to scare the sharks away. So you're like, oh, fuck. You see these pajama sharks.
Yeah.
And
apparently they're the most dangerous of the shark.
Yeah, and is it...
Apparently.
The most emotion I had towards this was like, I was so annoyed he just let this happen to the fucking octopus.
We are dead inside. We are dead inside, me and you. There's been too many welcome to leaves, too many dead mummy dearests. We're ruined. This is probably a very nice film.
Yeah. This isn't discussing very nice films, though.
But it probably is, and me and you are... Mate, we're damaged. That's all I'm saying. I've tried to ease us in with Well Groomed, but it clearly hasn't worked. So,
hey, like I said, I'm happy to sit and have a crack on about any of them. And the main issue with this is, and I think the selling point is, I think he's got footage of octopuses that you've never seen before. Like I think he has probably more footage of interaction with an octopus over a period of time. It's not quite Project Nim sitting sparking up a joint.
No, it's not, right?
And when the shark takes its arm off and he's just there going, "And what can you do?" It's like, well, you can just get the shark off. Or does the shark bite you at some point?
Well, here's where my brain kicked in, right? Because the shark comes in, bites her arm off, and it takes a while, right? And it looks, I mean, that's got to be harrowing for the octopus. And the octopus must be looking at him going, "Are you fucking filming this? What are you, some sort of sicko? What's going on? Will you not help me out? I thought we were friends."
Yeah, where's my human friend that I'm teaching about the kelp?
Yes, exactly, right? And then the shark fucks off because he's had his feed. And then over the next 6 weeks, the arm grew back.
Yeah, like Deadpool's legs.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
and that's
really
when I
cool.
thought, why are we harvesting cows? We need to just start harvesting octopuses. And just, you cut 3 of their legs off every 6 weeks, they then grow back. That's an infinite food supply.
That's torturous for those poor animals, isn't it?
It's
we just want Seaspiracy, you modesty. It is. I was going to say, like, hey, listen, we're not going to torture cows anymore. Come on down, Squidward. Come on. I understand what you mean. That, and again, it is like with all the little fingers and the suction pads. It's a different animal. Do you know what I mean? Compared to any other mollusk. But then, after you felt bad to an extent that this thing has had his arm ripped off, and it looked like a stuffed toy, the blood or whatever was coming out of it.
Yeah.
And crawling back into the thing. And then you feel bad. And then you have it hunting a crab and just absolutely just annihilating these smaller animals. And
this is Jerry Seinfeld, right? He goes, it depends who the film's about. He goes, because some weeks you're cheering the zebra. You're like, come on, zebra, run away. And the next week you're cheering the tiger. Come on, tiger, catch the zebra. Yeah. It just depends who the film's about.
Yeah, and you're basically like, fuck the crab. We haven't met him to the Finding Nemo music.
He's not going to get me an octopus. No one wants to see a film about crabs. It'll be just too misunderstanding.
This is who I liken his voice to, all right, this guy. So when you're listening to him, I think he's a cross between Werner Herzog and Jerry from the polyamory Louis Theroux episode.
Yes. Nice. Beautiful.
There is a sadness to his voice where he's just like, yes, and my wife came out of the room and she was just like, I don't care if you see who's in here. Stop talking about fucking octopuses.
Yeah, poor Jerry. I was mentally thinking, right, the guy's an idiot. And yet I'm sitting there with my cat and I'm talking to my cat and telling her what's going on. At the same time, I'm calling this poor sod on the screen like, he's a bloody idiot. He's talking to an octopus. How stupid is that, right, Buttons? Buttons is like, yeah, man, what an idiot. He then says, he said there's no greater feeling on earth than when he interacts with his octopus. This guy's got a son.
I know.
How shit is his kid? His kid's watching this going, Dad, I'm in the room. What? Because it was like he was confessing a love affair.
You can tell. And this is probably what makes him a professional documentarian. Because when he hones in on a subject, he hones in on a subject. And like he couldn't wait to get, every time he went down there, he couldn't wait to get back up and, check the notes against, what he had found against the scientific notes online. And then the way he tracked it, because there was like things you don't know, like when he's trying to get, the octopus is trying to get snails out of the shells or mollusks out of the shells, how it's got a little drill and it'll drill into a certain point and then drop venom into it.
Yeah.
Probably why we shouldn't use those as an external pot of food source.
Ah, there you go. You've just
Plus,
tripped me up my idea to solve world hunger.
yeah, and plus, what was I going to say? The way these creatures adapt, I think they could take us over pretty quickly.
Did you see it walk on land?
Yeah.
Now that was
that
scary.
looked like evolution. And again, I think it's those little moments. If we'd found this in the middle of the weeds of nothing and it was an hour long, we'd be like, that's a cracking little documentary. But when you get told this is a fucking, an Oscar winner?
Yeah, Oscar winner.
That is when it puts just a little bit too much pressure on it.
Yeah.
A little a weight of expectation towards it.
It's exactly that. It's the weight of expectation. Yeah, well said.
Because the sharks come back for it, and you see it jetting ink to like wacky races to get away from the shark. And again, I'm trying to think, why is he so okay with sharks around him? Because he's got like 5 different camera angles of all this shit happening.
Yeah,
like he's got like a boom mic guy who's not allowed to scream if he gets bitten or something. Like when he's down there. So the footage of that is like just again impressive. He got it, and then the shark goes for it, and it just leaps onto land.
Yeah. That was insane, wasn't it? You're like, what? Well, why did you?
If you're sat at the sea with your kid and that just landed on your knee, like, what the fuck? The guy just comes up and you just getting caved in of a rock by someone going, Did you see that? And then this other weird guy comes up with
a camera. That would have got this documentary another point at the end when we score it. And he gets obsessed, right? He says he wants to visit her every day. He's visiting her every day. And you're like, things are not good at home for you, are they? Things are not good at home.
I like when you started it, I think he knew, obviously, he's going to make a documentary about this. And then he's in it. Do you know what I mean? Then he has to finish it because he's, this is his thing. You're not giving up another fad, all right? You're not giving up another one up. We've got rid of the yo-yos. We got rid of the fucking rollerblades, the skydiving. Listen, just stick to a thing. I'm fucking sick of this.
She's got the octopus. We find out has got 2,000 suckers, which I thought that's what we need on our Patreon.
Jesus, that's getting cut.
You can compare an octopus's intelligence to a cat, a dog, or a primate. My cat scoffed at that. Like, no fucking way. We are way smarter. Proving her point. He then goes to check the octopus at night because they're nocturnal. And how do we know that about octopus? That means he's not the first guy to do this.
No, there'll be other stuff. You just nothing in the mainstream or nothing to that extent of the footage. So there'll be people that study it in a lab or in an aquarium and things like that, or like a gorillas in the mist thing with them. But again, just no one that had the HD GoPro that decided to go into the freezing cold kelp every day. This
would have never got made without a GoPro, would it?
No.
Yeah. No. I thought the only lookalike. Obviously, we got his voice sounding like my dentist, Paul, who's just the loveliest man. But a lookalike, I thought the sharks looked like humbug sweets.
Yeah.
That's how distracted I was. Oh, they look nice. Oh, I'm hungry. I'll turn this off and go get some sweets. That's what happened to me.
And then there's a second octopus there, and he's happy but sad because he knows once they mate, that's pretty much the end of their life cycle.
And he films that as well. So that's some weird octopus porn shit going on. And again, the octopus must be looking over her shoulder, seeing her partner, and then seeing him with a camera going, really, come on.
Look, he means nothing to me, all right? He comes, nothing's ever happened. I did some hand stuff once.
This is Dave. We're old mates. Don't read too much into it.
And that's not just us reaching for jokes. He is very much made into a weird relationship. The way it's narrated, could be lost in translation and things like that. But
no, he's a native English speaker. None of this is lost in translation. He has a weird relationship with this creature. It's incredibly strange.
And
he says, when she got her arm, even I'm calling her she, when the octopus got the arm bitten off, he said, I think what happened to her is what happened to me. How? I didn't... I didn't get it.
Cutthroat world of documentaries. David Attenborough chased him. He was throwing ink at him everywhere. Bit his arm off. And he had to go and hide in South Africa for 5 years until it grew back.
But he starts to feed the octopus. He's not putting this much effort into his wife and his child. What?
Well, I was worried because his son starts diving with him, and I thought, if a shark gets him, is he just going to film it and be like, well, you can't disturb the natural order of things?
You can't mess with the humbug sweets with teeth.
And then he sees it, so the death of the octopus is timed with the hatching of the eggs.
Yeah.
And then it's washed up, barely alive, with fish feeding on it. And he goes, part of me wanted to help. I was like, do you think? You fucking think? Do you want to try and, like, clap so they go away for 10 minutes?
Craig, help me out, man. Put the fucking camera down and come over here and finish the job. Yeah.
And then fucking the next day the sharks came and you see the sharks just ripping this thing apart.
Yeah. He's like Stretch Armstrong. Because he became an octopus sleuth, which, as we're finding out, is just as annoying as a web sleuth. Anything that's got the word sleuth after it, you're like, yeah, I'm done. I'm out, mate.
Just a weird thing he says in the talking head after the octopus is being ripped apart. He says, in a way, it was a relief. In my mind, I was an octopus. It was taxing, in a way.
I'm thinking in this one, I don't know what your favourite Terminator film is, but mine is Terminator 3. Do you know that one? Which everyone says is the worst one.
Yeah, it's yeah.
And it is, right? It is the worst one until the last 20 seconds where he just grabs the microphone and he says, "Hi, this is John Connor." And I'm thinking that's what this documentary is going to have. It'll have a final 20 seconds where it's going to lift the whole film right up. And I'm just being impatient. Yeah, no, it hasn't. It really hasn't.
What I'd hoped would have been more like Terminator 2 and the ripped apart octopus just liquidates back together and then comes back up. And then it literally just emulates what he looks like. Stabs him and then walks into the house.
Do and makes love to his wife to that music.
I mean, I'm not saying like he wasn't over the moon about winning the Oscar, but that night she conceived 900 babies.
I must admit, when the sharks were ripping the octopus apart, I was cheering on the sharks. That's when I knew you've broke me. I'm done.
I actually wasn't cheering on the sharks. I was just like, well, for fuck's sake, like, check it out, put it in the tank, feed it, just let it slowly die with you.
Yeah.
Fucking.
And you're right, there is some good filming, right? Of when the octopus grabs the shells and sort of builds a little...
Yeah, and that's what it's based and predicated on. And for me, there is a little bit of... He looks like he's made this shit all himself. Do you know what I mean? This is a self-starter, one guy on his own doing it. And if it wasn't for the weight of being like, right, okay, we can make it a yearly thing. We'll do whatever wins the fucking Oscar. That's a bit like, what was the one that we named? It was a classic cult month.
Classic.
Where we made a pathway in Matt's mind and we had to find out what cults were.
The coolest bit of this documentary for me was where she initially gets attacked by the sharks just before she walked on land. And where she jumped on the shark's back and she done the old Millennium Falcon move.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought, oh, that's pretty cool.
I thought that was really cool, but you're also like, you've got to get off there at some point.
Yeah, and the shark's going to know. The shark's only got to turn around. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I just found it weird, right? I just found it weird.
Have you never got into snorkeling along the coral? You've done your travelling? Was that not a thing that you ever tried?
I've snorkeled. Yeah, I'm a qualified scuba diver. I can dive on nitrox. I've been banned from in the Maldives because I left my buddy and got a proper telling off.
Oh shit! What happened there?
I got
sharks came from him.
It was him or him. Take him. He's a big fella. I lost my buddy. And that's the worst thing you can do when scuba diving. It's so dangerous. I'm saying it flippantly now because I survived. But if I would have got into an accident, I would be dead.
Shit.
Yeah. So
that happens with a lot of your hobbies.
that's,
The stress of this podcast is killing you, but Jesus.
Yeah, I've done all of that. It's lovely. It's a really lovely. Didn't make a fucking boring documentary about it though, did I? No. That's the difference.
Again, one of the reasons I like doing this is we're not kind of like, this is the best podcast ever, you must listen to this. Like, listen, do you like documentaries? Do you want to hear us have a crack on about a documentary? It's kind of not offensive and not in your face, which was probably what this guy was going for before Netflix just showed this footage of a octopus turned itself into a tank, turned itself into a tree, and then moonwalking. Yeah. And then she becomes this fantastic, majestic old lady walking. I've still got the fucking man on a wire guy's voice in my head while I'm doing these things. It looks like something from Red Dwarf.
I genuinely thought right at the end, was the whole thing a metaphor for his wife dying then? Not the fact that it was getting back to his wife. Was it his wife dying? Is that what? And did I miss it?
Yeah, we've been in lockdown for too long, buddy. This is going to be tough going back to the real world.
Yeah. Here's my final note. I stopped making notes for the last 10 minutes. I did not enjoy this documentary one little bit. Why not? What's wrong with me? Because it's been recommended by so many people. And I really hoped me and you were going to go to town over... I was waiting for you to go, this was good. And teach me that I was wrong.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. We're doing Making a Murderer on the Patreon. I'll get to that. I don't make a stand unless I fully commit to the stand, all right? Like this one, I'm just like, listen, if you like your wildlife, if you like your David Attenborough stuff,
yeah,
like the footage of the birds coming and doing like a daft mating dance and stuff, or I think Attenborough stuff's better. But yes, it is what it is. Like if you tune in to watch a documentary about an octopus, you can't be angry that it's a documentary about an octopus. It's like...
Yeah, fair point.
Which because I've also listened back to our well-groomed episode where I sound like a petulant child going, nothing happens, nothing happens.
That's the weird thing, right? I don't get how I enjoy Well-Groomed so much because I really love that one. Yeah, and I detested this one.
I don't know between the documentaries, but from your psyche, the people doing it are happy. At no point is this narrator happy. It doesn't seem to be giving him joy. It's feeding this weird, fixation of his. Fixation might be a harsh word, but it is like he is obsessed with the creature, but he has no emotional attachment to it because he's letting it get torn apart by fucking sharks. It's and obviously this thing's already died and he's in tears from the beginning, slowly telling you this, whirlwind tale of what he's doing. Like I think it's he's put in a dedication to probably get more interaction in the wild with an octopus than anyone. The footage he's got the cool equipment and the effort he went to. I mean, he's going down there without a fucking tank, and he's talking about like, but then I had to go to the top to breathe. It's like, and there's no stakes to that. If you were in the water and you were like, this is happening, but I also will die if I stay here, that's stakes. But obviously, like, yeah, whatever. Now you're moving away the footage from the thing we want to see, and we just see you in your fucking Bermuda shorts with a snorkel in your noggin.
Wow, that's a deep psychological point. Yeah, you might have a point there. Maybe it was. They were too miserable. Well, give us your score, Mr. Psychiatrist. What's your score on this one? Sorry, just before you do that, I genuinely hope the guy's okay. I really do, because he seemed like a nice guy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and he's a documentarian. I got now against him.
Absolutely, yeah, no, nothing against him. Right,
and I try and do it on a curve of enjoyment because there's some that would have got a 5 if I hadn't have seen this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're brutal, man. They used the wrong font in the credit. That's a point gone.
I'm not that bad, but there was things in Grizzly Man that could have been done better. Right, so which looks like Shawshank Redemption in comparison to this.
Oh God, yeah.
But on saying that, vastly preferred it to Wrinkles the Clown. So
Man, that one scarred you. That one proper
Oh,
scarred you.
excuse me. I'd never seen a poor HBO documentary till then.
The weird thing is, have you seen the advert for My Octopus Teacher?
Yes.
It's just a shit. It's just a shit. Why did we go in?
It won the Oscar, and we thought, oh, we'll do the one that... If this had been voted the best documentary of the year, maybe we should take a look at it. But again, where there's a lot of different sections to documentaries, I guess, because, you know, there's fucking true crime and crackpots. Those are the two that I go between.
There's loads of different types. There's true crime, and then there's the crackpots.
And then there's the Nature Geographic stuff, do you know what I mean? There's the David Attenborough, which we've not watched. Blue Planet. I mean, that's got a bunch of amazing stuff.
We are not watching any Attenborough. All right, give us your score.
All right, I'm giving this 2.5.
That's way too much.
Right. It's been an emotional week, Matt.
I'm giving this a 1, man. I really did not have a good experience here at all.
All right, I'm cutting it down to a 2 then. You're right, 2.5.
The thing is, I know I'm going to watch this again.
Do you?
Yeah. I've got to be wrong. Everyone can't be right. And everyone can't be right and I'm wrong. That can't be, or everyone's wrong and I'm right. I'm a sheep. I'm a follower. I'm not someone who gets people to follow.
To an extent.
I go with the masses. And if the masses are saying this is good, what am I missing? Because to me, the Emperor ain't got no clothes on.
But we're watching it with a view to discuss it. That's what we need. That again, if we're watching for purpose, which was a big bugaboo for Groom for me. If there's no specific talking points, which for me it was just a soothing screensaver until the screensaver got attacked by a shark.
I'm going to watch it again. I'm going to have to know, but I need to give it. Like 7 or 8 months. And
you haven't had your druggy weekend this year, have you?
No, or last.
there's a valve that hasn't been turned.
Yeah, it's been 2 long sober years. Right, so that is a Discussing Documentaries score of 3. So well done. And I'd like to give a big shout out to someone who just sent me the loveliest text, and it is a Discussing Documentaries fan, and he is known as CYQRW7. So thanks for the text. That lifted my spirits a lot. So thank you very much, CYQRW7. You know who you are.
I just got a tweet from an octopus calling me a twat.
Doing it on multiple devices, right?
It's the bees.
It's the bees in Saudi Arabia. They've got it.
Howard beat the dissident. That marked it down for me. That was in it.
That's got to be some next level stuff that they're anti-Muslim. They're like, no, we can't let Muslims in a documentary win.
I think the dissident. I think the Oscar panel received a text from Prince MBS, and now he's
via
in
DHL.
He's in their phones, and they're like, "Yeah,
that's how this won." Oh, well done. That's exactly how this won.
And that is how Newcastle
MBS
is going to have new orders, because you better believe Richard Masters accepted a text from the Saudis.
When I told Ozzy Sarah, and who else did I tell that we had the? I think it was Dinesh. When I told the pair of them that we've recorded The Dissident, because they were both going, "Are you going to release that? When are you going to release that?" And then I went, "It's been pulled." Dinesh went, "Have they got to you?"
Yeah, Rick's sitting on it until Newcastle go to arbitration. Because as much as I agreed with everything they said, the man is evil. But at the same grounds, I just watched us implode against Arsenal 4-0 or whatever it was. It was awful. We'll release it soon.
But you're not being relegated, so it's all right. Okay, well, let's wrap this up. I don't know, what we doing next, kid? What's up?
We'll have to get on the thinking. I know the next thing that we're recording in timeline wise for us would be Making a Murderer to go on.
Yeah, 10 parts. I'm genuinely looking
on the
forward to
Patreon
that.
feed. I can't wait. I can't fucking wait. If this podcast had stopped before I'd been able to go and do fucking Making a Murderer, I would have been seasoned.
The weird thing, when Making a Murderer came out, loads of people said to me, loads, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Have you seen this? So I'm like, oh, okay, I finally get to see it. It wasn't a flash in the pan. The fact that they're going to make a third season.
I'm predicting a third season. There is some stuff happening.
Oh, really?
There is some stuff happening in real life which makes you believe there's at least going to be a follow-up, but yeah.
Right, okay.
So,
all right.
Since, if there is going to be a third season, my thinking to this is, if you can't be asked to go back and watch the 20 hours, you can listen to our episodes and get caught up and have a laugh with us doing it.
There you go. Yeah. And the Patreon, the stuff on the Patreon is superb. That episode we recorded, The Jinx, episode 8.
The Where Are They Now?
That's
the most fun I've had recording one. That is the most fun I've had.
We laugh a lot anyway, but that was great. And coming up soon.
But anyway, this is kind of like Ronald McDonald going, what was that thing I had the other day? A McFlurry. They were delicious. Delicious. You can try them if you like. You can try them. It's not a lot. So we're gonna stop shilling ourselves out. Thank you very much for listening, guys. And we're on some internet radio show now, apparently, as well. Is that happening, or is this in the timeline?
Yeah, we'll be there. Apple Radio, something to do with Apple.
But you guys don't go there because you come to us anyway.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. They're trialing our stuff,
right.
Thanks to all of those people who know we're going to shout out to. Next week we'll get their names.
Thank you very much, guys.
Nick. Cheers. Ta-da.
Bye.
Hello, it's Matt. I just found out the thing I googled. They weren't the runnings for the best Oscar. They were the runnings for the best BAFTA. The ones for the best Oscar were Collective, Crip Camp, The Mole Agent, My Octopus Teacher, and Time. So it was nothing to do with The Dissident. Sorry about that.